What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So it's been a few months since I've made one of these videos, the best spots to grind for silver. So as we all know, the past few months have been pretty crazy. A lot of balance changes happened in the game. New grind spots, Edania came out, and I think now is a good time to talk about this because recently we had the two new spots with Edania Part 2, and I wanted to give it at least a week. I wanted to test it as well and make sure the data is accurate from both my perspective, and I talked to a lot of other creators and people from the community as well. So yeah, I took some notes and I wanted to talk about, I guess the best grind spots for silver these days. And as usual, the way we're going to do this, so whether you're a beginner or someone going into the end game, I wanted to try to organize this in a way that is, more or less easy to understand. And so what we're going to be doing is going down the AP list. So basically we're going to go down from lowest AP to highest AP at the end. I guess if you're a newer player watching this as well and don't know how to go about finding a grind spot for you, by default, this is what it looks like. So, for example, no matter what your AP, DP looks like, this is going to be what it looks like. What you want to do is hit the total stats button, this little sword and shield, and basically what you look at is your total AP, and the effective limit means it doesn't go past this one, and this one is like what you can entry level AP sheet stats. So, yeah, green good, red bad, and not all spots are, particularly needed to be at the cap, and then you could go into some places more or less below and above and you'll be fine. It just really depends on what you're grinding for, but today we're going to be talking about silver. Maybe in the next episode we'll talk about better spots for Agris because they did tweak that one and so on. So with that said, for newer players, let's start around, I guess, over here, because this is where you're going to be at seasonals. And I think, honestly, if it's your first character, you're playing on seasons, and you're just trying to level up for the first time, just playing through the story or leveling through polys is pretty solid up to level 60, 61. And you could basically complete the seasonal from there. And it's not terrible silver, but it gives you a head start on a lot of other things. Like, let's say you get some Spectre's energies, you could turn those into black stars as a new player. Atanus elements allow you to pick the piece of the infinite potion you want. So let me show you what it looks like. Where is it? These Atanus elements over here. These are for infinite potions. It's something you want to do early on because when you grind it early, it doesn't feel as bad. But let's say you're 300 plus AP and you're grinding in infinite potion spots, it doesn't feel great, but luckily you could just buy them nowadays. So either way, Polly's Forest, very good entry level. All right, so I guess going down into a little bit further into the 180s, by the time you're done with seasonals, you're probably around 245 250-ish AP. And I think Blood Wolves is a very solid spot simply because it drops 1, potion pieces, 2, low-key Cagdanacs are actually very valuable because they allow you to create those Dark Red Fang crystals for the Valor ones, and those are actually pretty decent endgame crystals. I can show you what they look like. I think I have one. Yeah, these thingies, these are like 500 mil each, so whether you sell them or use it, it's a pretty good chunk of silver, especially for newer players out there. So, where were we? Right, so, infinite potion piece, a lot of the smaller pieces, decent Capris, Spectre's energies. I rarely get those, not gonna lie, even back in the day. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to grind for. These are the big ticket items, the orange eye and the purple one for infinite potions and just big silver. And I think that's a pretty solid seasonal place. Centaurs, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been there in a while. I'm pretty sure this spot fell off. However, right now in the current, state of the game, these sealed black magic crystals are actually very valuable. because a lot of endgame players are using them to craft like the new crystals, new artifacts, and everything. So endgame players need them, and they drop a decent amount. Plus, like the trash loot, if you use Agris, is, I mean, the spot never got nerfed. It's just there have been other spots that came out in the game. So I still think this is a probably solid beginner level area, but you know, as of right now, it's probably especially good because sealed black magic crystals are capped out at 6 mil each, and you actually get a lot here. So if you're a new player, consider this spot, especially with Agris. All right, a new or not really new spot, some other spots I would recommend grinding. Going down into, you know, the 200-ish AP area. A lot of these other spots, they could be good for other things, but today, well, like today's topic is for silver. Some other ones are better for different things, but we'll talk about those in another video. I think that actually, wait, where is it? Shuriken is actually a decent spot as well for people into 190, 200 areas, also for infinite potion pieces. But with Agris, it's still a decent amount of silver early on, and you know, it's probably pretty empty these days, so you could probably get a spot fairly easily. And the Agris scales a little bit differently. Like, you know how when you use Agris, it's like, here, you get 4 to 5 trash loot, and then with Agris, it's like 6 or 7 or something. This one scales differently, and it's just like a lot. So, and then with the Agris change is pretty good. So, decent spot for silver. Would recommend it with Agris, though. Let's see, what else do we have? All of these spots, you know, kind of fell off. A notable one would be Kratuga, mostly because sealed black magic crystals are at an all-time high and people are needing them right now. As for artifacts and everything, I still think if you are a beginner, this is probably the best spot to grind for them, because I've used this example before. For example, let's say, I don't know, what's a spot that will give like one of something? So let's take this spot, for example. Let's say you're going for like a ranged artifact, right? Chances are at Upper Sakraya, I know you narrow it down, but you're probably getting one every like 2 hours or something, 1 an hour. Whereas at Kratuga, you're getting one of these, like, I know there's a higher drop pool, but you're getting like one every like 10 minutes. So in the long term, you getting the one you want is actually, you know, very high. So for usage is high. Sealed black magic crystals are very good. And also, if you know how to melt these down with alchemy, you can get those purified light stones. And if we look at that, those are all, these are at like an all-time high right now because people are getting these. People want the new Edania crystals. So this is the highest it's been ever. So getting a lot of them on the like per hour actually turns into a lot of silver. So as of right now, Kratuga is actually very good, and I think it could be like worse later on, but as of right now, I think it's definitely worth checking out. As for everything else, Tungrad's not that great anymore. Layton's, the prices dropped so much. I remember when all of these were like 100 mil each, and then Elcars were maxed at 300 and everything. So yeah, it used to be better, but as of right now, when, you know, purified light stones and sealed magic crystals are at maximum, I think it's decent. But like 6 months down the line from now, who knows where it'll be. If you are going for the shards to get your accessory cups, I do actually believe they buffed it recently. Not recently, but like a couple months ago, to the point where all the spots are pretty decent. So a lot of the Elvia spots nowadays, like it's actually good for silver because you're turning it into the cups and then selling it. So yeah, I think it's a long-term grind, but like overall, it nets out to a lot of silver if you are committing to making the cup, like collecting 100 from various spots and everything. I think I talked to a few people, and they said, assuming you can commit the time to it, like to make the cups, it averages out to like one 1 to 2 billion silver an hour plus all of this stuff, and I think it's good. So once again, sealed black magic crystals, decent here, but then you're really going for the silver from a commitment grind of the shards, or if you need it yourself. So yeah, Elvia has a lot of very solid spots now. I'm convinced that Pearl Abyss kind of forgot Elvia Realm existed because they just haven't added anything in a while. Last thing they added was Orzekia, which is actually very good. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, so yeah, we are currently at 240-ish AP. So going forward, past 240 AP, anything we talk about is probably out of seasons, because like 250 and up is when you generally graduate with full pen and everything. So with that in mind, Underwater Sakraya, this is actually not that bad. Why Tungrads are still going up, I don't know. Like they went down to 80 and then went back up to 100. Decent amount of sealed black magic crystals. Capra stones are pretty decent. And then abyssal essences, if you turn them into the what is it, like frenzy drafts of corruption, these kind of add up, all the trash loot and everything. I think this is a low-key good spot. The only downside is getting there. So here's what I would recommend doing if you don't have a boat. So go to Velia, take one of the traveler's map to Ilia Island, and then from Ilia Island you just run down like to the coast of here, and then start swimming out into the ocean a little bit. And then you know how like over here it'll tell you like when you change nodes and everything, it'll tell you that you're in the Sakraya area, and then you just escape and it'll take you to the bottom, and then you go in as you would normally. But anyway, that's how I would do it, or get someone to compass you in there, same thing. Either way that works. I think Sakraya underwater is like a low-key good area for people who are like roughly 250-ish AP. And yeah, I like the scenery is actually really nice too. Like I've always said this, how scenery and environment does matter in a grind spot, because you feel like mental fatigue if you're grinding in the desert all day. It's just like one color. But Underwater Sakraya is like, oh, you're in the underwater cave, that's cool, and then there's a lot of different colors and plants and nature colors and everything. So I don't know, that's just me, but like I actually really enjoyed Underwater Sakraya. I thought it was cool and it's pretty good. Let's see, other spots that I think are decent. They actually changed Turos, which is Tinkuda, from a group spot to solo, and I heard it's actually pretty solid now. And they dropped it from like a 270 to 80-ish AP area to 250. The truth is, honestly, these days you could buy the flames off the market. These are for your fallen god, but you still do need a bunch of other stuff, and venomous night fangs I think got buffed as well, so if you need those, that's cool. Haven't been there since the change, but I heard it wasn't that bad. They increased the drop rate of embers, especially for the Dekia version as well, so it's probably decent. Upper Gyfin. The last time I checked, people said it was good. The party of 5 thing, like obviously you could solo it these days, but party of 5 means everyone gets the same amount of loot. So Forest Furies are always going to be a popular item just because everyone just needs them. And let me go check the market. I'm pretty sure it's still on order with a lot. Yeah, 11,000 orders. It's because people, you know, need to extract cups and everything when like newer players go up into Karazad, I believe. That is what they need for it. And then there's just a lot of other uses for it as well. So yeah, let's see. Where were we? 250? Let's see. Okay. Bloody Monastery. I think this is low-key a fun spot. So if you've never grinded here, the concept is just running in circles, like, you know, in the monastery church area. But you get a bunch of crimson bells while grinding, and basically it's like it spawns a wave for like 5 or 10 minutes, I believe. I think it's 10 minutes, and it's just a bunch of ads coming towards you. And so you could stack the bells. So like if you did like an hour of a grind and you got 5 or 6 crimson bells, right? You could pop all of them, and for the next 10 minutes, it's just endless waves of enemies. It's actually kind of fun. These weren't that common even back in the day, so I'm just gonna assume you don't get any of them. But once again, shards for the cup grind, and then sealed black magic crystals. The rest of these you like vendor, and I think it's like probably about $1 bill an hour. And I think it's pretty decent. So definitely one of those ones if you want to change up your grind spot and try something else that is still pretty decent for silver. And I think it's fun. Okay, Elvia or Camp. So this spot has had its up and downs. I think a couple weeks ago when they made the change, this spot with Agris was kind of broken, and I haven't tested it since then. But either way, this spot is like very consistent silver in terms of like all the items. So like, for example, let's take this one, for example. Back in the day, if you got a necklace, you'd be like, oh, wow, plus 300 mil or something an hour. And if you get 2 of them, that's like the jackpot item. This spot doesn't have any special items, but it makes up for that with all of these that you just vendor to the NPC. And it's just very consistent silver. There's no like excitement out of it, but it's just decently consistent silver. So I think it's good. I still remember it dropping a decent amount of sealed black magic crystals, unless they changed it. But of all the Elvia spots in the 250, 260 AP area, I think this one is actually very good. Honglim Base. This spot has had ups and downs over the past like 2 years, and I think it's still decent. So the way it worked is before the big change, like 2 years ago, it was fine, right? And then they nerfed it, and then people were mad, like actually big mad for about like a couple of weeks, and then they kind of reverted a change, and in its current state as of today, I think people are just like, it's back. It feels like it's normal again. So I think it's okay. I did one video like after the like revert, and then it felt the same. So aside from that, there's no reason for me to be here, but Honglim is a very solid spot across the board, and you getting these crystals early actually is important, especially, you know, if you don't have all the Karazods and everything, you just might want to start collecting these now. Let's see, Elvia Giants. I feel like this is like a low-key decent spot. People just don't go there because it's kind of out of the way, but I think it's like actually low-key sleeper good, if in a way. Olins. All 3 Olin spots are, you know, pretty decent. Regular Olins, you can solo it. Dekia 1 is a little bit sketch, but you could do it. And Dekia 2, Dekia 2 is actually very good silver. We'll talk about that as we get there, but Olins across the board, whether you're doing regular D1 or D2, all very good spots. And it's the hardest Rich Merchant Ring piece to get because 1, you need a party for the most part, and 2, generally, like, it has it's like the least amount of enemies, therefore drop rate lower kind of thing. So Underground Gryphon. I think it's probably still the #1 spot for XP. In terms of silver, it's probably 1 bill an hour on average, even if the accessories are at an all-time low. So yeah, it's a very easy to learn spot. There's 3 colors. Kill the one with the color buff that you have, and then you're good. But yeah, decent drop rate for Forest Furies. Trash loot is solid. XP is very high, so that's what makes the spot like go up more than usual. Accessories, I think you get like maybe between like 2 to 4 accessories an hour from my last test, and decent spirit stones that you can melt down for spirit powder and recharging your bells or alk stone. So overall, a good spot for XP. Silver is, you know, decent, but I would still rate this very highly. All right, so Dekia spots. They recently added an item in the game called Paints. So this thingy, the Alan Serban's landscape, basically what it is when you get the paint, it gives you like 10,000 paint points, right? And then that allows you to grind in higher end areas, but with the equivalent of having the treasure item drop in the higher area. So it's like a change of pace, but with the same drop rate, right? So I think it's good. Sulfur and Pilaku, you are going for the archaeologist map here, and I think these are actually decent spots. The archaeologist map, from what I've heard from a lot of people over the years, is the easiest treasure item to go for. And also, you know, if you're trying to go for mem frags and everything, drops a good amount of these, plus Black Spirit Claws and everything. Drop rate, from my experience of Deboreka accessories, are as like 1 every 3 hours, so it's not the greatest, but like I feel like you're not grinding in these spots for the Debo accessories. You're here for literally every other item. So in my experience, a little bit, probably between 800 to 1 bill an hour, but you're also not here completely for the silver, if that makes sense. Same with Histria and Achman. These are probably a little bit more silver than Pilaku and Sulfur. So like between 1 to 1.5 billion silver an hour. Histria, getting these paints is actually low-key kind of good, because Histria is a huge pain. Yeah, when I got my compass, it took like 500 hours. You can watch my video from like, what, 2-3 years ago. And it was just me grinding circles before Dekia even existed. And yeah, so nowadays it's a little bit easier. If you're going for the compass, I'd recommend Dekia if you can, because it's just like more condensed. But yeah, that's a little bit better. 1 to 1.5 bill an hour average for both of these spots. And the only bad thing is they're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so you kind of have to like go there. Elvia Hex, you guys remember when I did that video where I got like cracked loot and then they fixed it? I heard it's still pretty decent. It's just not as good as before, obviously. People will probably still need crystallized despairs till the end of time, because enhancers are still using those to get fail stacks. Distos have a higher drop rate than before, and people are still actually buying all of these blessed fragments and everything. If you want to know why, is because at the end game, people are going for these things, right? The Khan's Protection Stone, because this allows you to get more sheet DP and allow you to do the Edania bosses, like, where it's kind of like cheesing the DP in a way. Doing it a legit way, unlike the, you know, exploit people are doing. I've never done it, but I've seen clips of people doing it. So anyway, if you want to like get into, like, for example, let's say you need 445 to get into a spot, you would do that, and then boost you up into that number. So anyway, Hex, people are still doing that for a lot of stuff as well. Crypt of Resting Thoughts is, I think this is like a sleeper good spot. So if you're going for Merchant Ring piece or Debos, I think this spot for Debos, it has a higher drop rate than a lot of other spots that are, you know, 300 or equivalent. And then if you're going for the Lauer Zeka costume piece, very high drop rate for both leaves, and then a lot of Venomous Night Fang. So I think this spot is overall good. Even if the trash loot isn't the best, you're going for a lot of other items as well, and Debo drop rate is pretty decent. Next, we have Ash Forest. In terms of regular Ash Forest, I don't think this is the best one, but Dekia 2 Ash Forest is actually very good. And so, like, unlike Olin's, where all 3 of them are good there, Ash Forest, I think only people are doing, like, regular for the Merchant Ring piece, or Dekia 2 for the artifacts and everything, which I think are good. All right, so Dekia Thornwood. They nerfed some of the, you know, this spot just got nerfed, but I don't think it's the worst thing. So it's like, I think you get a little bit more trash, but they drop the amount of Caprice you get an hour. And they also made a big change with the Limbo Seals a while ago. So I'm not sure how it works now. I haven't grinded any. So it gives you like chest, but does that mean you get 2 Debo rings now? I haven't gotten it, so I don't know if this is a nerf or a buff, but they took out the mechanic of doing the thing, and then now it just gives you an accessory. So still a decent spot. It's not the best anymore, but it's a very chill spot. Same with Dekia Tankuda. They raised the price, or like not the price, but they raised the drop rate of embers for everyone going for the Fallen God. Definitely something to think about. Quint Hill. This is one of those things where the trash loot is just actually good with Agris. And if you're in the 320 area, there's probably a few better spots to grind, but it's one of those kind of just chill spots where not too much is happening on screen to the point where it's like a slower grind spot. So you know how people go from like pack A, B, C in like 2 seconds? This one only has like, what, 3 or 4 mobs per cycle, but they're like kind of tanky. And so like if you're like a slower APM player, or like, you know, you don't have a high mobility class, I think this one is okay. Trash loot decent. Sealed black magic crystals decent. And then of course you have crystallized spares are, I think, higher than other spots here, so I think it's pretty good. Crescents versus Dekia Kadri. I personally like Kadri more than Crescents, but these are very similar. And I guess one factor is the distance of the grind spot. Crescents is in the middle of the desert, where Kadri is not quite there yet. So personally, I like Kadri a little bit more. It's a little bit more engaging and not like mind-numbingly boring. And so you have to like look at colors and everything. So I know that doesn't sound better, but like it's a little bit more engaging in a way. So yeah. Once again, Dekia. This is D1. I don't know if Dekia 1 is worth it. You're either doing regular or D2. So Tungrad Ruins. It's actually really good. People say it sucks, but it doesn't. I think it's very good. And is it better than Dark Seekers though? No, not at all. But I think it's one of those engaging spots if you don't like tower grind spots. And you can get the Telescope. The Telescope is definitely worth going for. And you get a bunch of origins and all of this stuff for endgame players. Endgame players will always need these for fail stacks. And yeah, this spot, Tungrad Ruins, drops a high amount of Spectre's energies. I don't know why, but I had a lot of them. And yeah, very good spot overall for loot. Definitely recommend it. If people tell you it sucks, it makes about like 2 bill an hour. So if that's bad, then it is what it is. Dokkaebi Forest. This spot, you know, when it first came out, is very underwhelming. But now they did some change with it, and now it's actually like, I would say probably in the top 10 grind spots. And to be honest, I'm not really sure what they did to this spot, but it's actually good now, according to a lot of people. I haven't grinded here because when they came out with this, I was in higher end spots across the board, but you know, it's actually a pretty decent spot. I have a video you can watch of me doing an hour or so of it, but yeah, actually good. If I had to guess, I think they'd probably just raise the rate of all the crystals, which makes more silver an hour, or the Agris is now actually worth it, so that could be one of the two things. So Dokkaebi, good now, and kind of more rewarding for the amount of gear required there. All right, so we're getting into like 340 and endgame spots. Fortunate Golden Pig Cave. So this spot is different now because back before Edania came out, this was the best spot. However, the Golden Pig Cave would open like since everyone was doing it, it would only open for like an hour and a half twice a day. And now that everyone is at Edania, this like Fortunate Golden Pig Cave, according to like Garmoth and everything, when I see it's like open and close, this spot's open for like 5 hours a day or twice, like 5 hours twice a day or something something like that. But either way, if you Fortunate is the one where that's time exclusive. Regular one is 24/7. It's not really worth grinding regular anymore. It's always Fortunate or grind somewhere else, in my opinion. Olin's Dekia 2. Very good silver. And a lot of the reason why you're grinding here is for Dekia artifacts. These are still max price. 10 billion silver each. Fragments are still maxed. Rich merchant ring, obviously, and the trash loot and all this stuff. Everything here is good. The accessory, or not accessories, the crystals here, they're not bad. It's just you getting the one you want, which is the Stalwart Fortitude, is just like, assuming they're not weighted 25%, but I don't know that number. So these two don't sell. Stalwart is an end game crystal that a lot of people use, and Precise Destruction turns into the Void one from Elvia or Zekia, and that one is good. So Dekia Olins too, very good spot. The hardest part is finding a good group of 2 other people plus yourself. Dark Seekers, still very good. The reason why you're grinding here most of the time is for the essences and the origins, and Telescope is a secondary thought. And decent amount of sealed black magic crystals. If you get a Kabua's, awesome. Back when the flames were 10 mil, that was like a highlight. I've only gotten 1 direct flame in probably a couple 100 hours total of, grinding various Ulukita spots. And so everything is pretty decent. But I would say the reason why you're here is like it's a very solid amount of trash loot across the board. So that's straight silver. But you're also getting a bunch of essences and origins on the side. So like very good overall. D2 Ash Forest, I talked about this earlier. Once again, one of the 2 spots that drop red artifacts, which are these. So what they have changed in Ash Forest is back in the day, you could watch my older videos. I had full like Tet Fallen God, and these still did a lot of damage. They nerfed this spot to the point where you could do this in like duo or try Fallen God and feel very safe. So like it's a very chill grind spot now, and like overall very good. So I think this is actually a top 5 spot for silver. That's why a lot of people are here, and everyone needs the Dekia fragments and artifacts, so it's definitely something worth going for. Rich merchant ring piece is, I think, probably of the 5 for this one, Ash Forest is probably the easiest one to get. And I talked about that in another video. I'll leave it in the description for all treasure items if you're curious. All right, so with that said, we are going into Edania. But before we do that, let's talk about Elvia or Zekia. This is the #1 grind spot in the game for silver. Every Edania spot is a little bit less silver. However, the reason why all players are grinding there, like myself, is because, we have things to upgrade, like amplified light stones, the upgrades for artifacts, the, new crystals and everything. So we are trading off a little bit of silver per hour for gear upgrades, if that makes sense. Whereas Elvia or Zekia, straight silver across the board, and it's very good. So everything here sells for a lot, and this is actually like, it's not a tower spot. Well, it's not a tower spot, so it feels a little bit more engaging, and probably, in my opinion, #1 grind spot for silver. All right, so the next 5 spots over here are all Edania, newest grind spots in the game. Ethereum Castle. This spot is pretty terrible. People will say it's good, but those people that will tell you that it's good are getting like 2 Debo accessories an hour. If you don't get the good RNG and you don't get any accessories, this spot is terrible. Also, like, in every grind spot, they have a new crystal that'll give you Edania damage and monster damage reduction. Like, this spot is just not really worth it. And if you want to watch a video, I have a video of every single Edania grind spot. Zyphros will be coming soon. But most of these are just this one is underwhelming. Nymphomere Castle is a step up from here, and it's not bad. Like, getting a plus 30 to Edania's monster is like, it's literally double for the Ethereum. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth grinding these, especially if you're entry level going into Edania for the first time. And like this bot, look at the loot. It doesn't really give you anything. Nymphomere Castle actually gives you stuff that you'll need. And same with the other three, which are the higher end spots. So here's my recommendation for all of you. Let's say you're at, this is the minimum gear score required to do the weekly Jordan boss. And if you can do this spot, I don't know what you're, like, let's say you're 1600 effective. Let's say you're around 1600 AP for your sheet, right? Like something around that. I would honestly just try to grind Nymphomere Castle if you can. Just try to, like, get Edania species damage lightstones and then put them in and just do the castle. And then until you can get the bond crystal, you might be a little bit less silver, but ultimately, like, it's worth grinding. I don't think Ethereum Castle is good at all. If you can do Nymphomere, you're good to go, and then move up as you get more stuff. So I actually enjoy doing the weekly boss here, Rusalka, and I think that's one's fun. And the grunt spot here is very chill. So Orbita Castle. Every week for the past like 4 weeks since Edania launched, this spot has been tweaked. And as of right now, I think it's the easiest it has ever been in terms of like difficulty. But in terms of trash loot, it still needs more testing because every week they change something drastic with this spot. So I can't give you a complete accurate answer. But from the video I did, it's easier. Like, people can do it just fine. But is it as rewarding? I don't know. So if I were to guess, I'd probably say maybe about 2 bill an hour, but realistically what you're here for is the Jin crystal in Orbita, and then, you know, all these things on the side. The crystallized end times is something we'll need for a couple more months. Silence are always sellable, distorteds are irrelevant, and decent drop rate for devos. So yeah, I think I put about maybe 50, 60 hours in since Edania came out, so I know how to do this spot. It's just, is it good now? Dude, who knows? Tenebrum Castle. This is where I am currently grinding right now. I am at 3 out of 4 of the titles. And the reason why a lot of people are here now, once again, aside from being at an endgame spot, is the new Flawless Herald Crystal. So what they do is they allow you to upgrade your artifacts, or like the red artifacts. And it basically gives you more. It goes from 7 to 10. Then more monster damage reduction and more HP, so it's just more stats, which is very nice. Also, this is the new best in slot crystal, the Han crystal. So, like, you know how I talked about this one? This is plus 30. This one's 45. This one's 60. This is current best in slot, and I wish we could sell these to other players. So, like, it's not so much for, like, even if it wasn't as much silver, I would rather be able to sell these to other players and have, like, the newer players be able to grind Edania spots a little bit easier. And, like, I already have it. And nowadays, these are just vendor trash for me. So I wish I could just sell them to you guys. Even if it was, what, like, the same exact value as selling it to a vendor, I would rather sell it to other players so they can, you know, get an advantage on that as well. And then, yeah, so Tenebrum, pretty decent spot. This one's very chill, actually. I thought it would be more like I'd have to lock in every hour, but it's not as bad. I think Orbita Castle is more engaging, but it's also scarier, where I think this one is just like you can watch a streamer or watch a movie on the side and do this one just fine. Zyphros, current endgame spot where all the big damage comes in. I have a video coming soon of it, but this spot is extremely hard to hit the cap. It's like a 395, and then, like, this is my gear, right? I could do this spot to Neighboring Castle without that, because I can meet, if I'm full buffed, I can meet the effective limit, so that's cool, right? So like how you guys can figure out if you're doing that, you just click this little gear button, total stats, and then to the type of enemies, and then that's what you have. Zyphros, you really have to be full hard cap gear to be able to reach this effective limit, and it's very difficult. I can't do it. I think the max I would be full buffed and everything, I'd be about 1960, 1970. And so like I can grind this spot, but not efficiently. And the gimmick of this spot is basically you're fighting everything in lava, so you have a burn damage dot on you at all time. So you're taking 600 damage every 2 seconds. You know what's funny about that? Your infinite pot is 550 every 2 seconds. So you are taking damage over time. And aside from the monsters hitting, you know, I wouldn't say they're really hard hitting, but it's enough to keep you alert. People actually have to change their add-ons and everything. So like you actually should consider putting recovery per hit on like one of your add-ons if you're grinding that spot. And defensive is always good as well. But yeah, in terms of the new Edania spots, Ethereum, if you meet this number or 350, 427, just try to do the weekly boss and get the Edania crystals, because those are weekly time gated, and at least start collecting them until you can upgrade your Edania armors and everything, or at least get them. Not really worth grinding here. You're better off back at like Dark Seekers or literally any other spot. Nymphomare Castle is a place that I think is a good entry level for people to start doing. Orbita, I don't actually know. I think it got nerfed, but people are still there. But I don't think it's the worst spot, but it's definitely not great. Tenebrum is chill, actually, surprisingly, and very good for all of this stuff. Zyphros, you are locked in when you're grinding here. It is not chill. You're taking burn damage. Things hit hard. Most people don't meet this requirement, myself included. And yeah, silver is actually like kind of the same in a way. So yeah, one of those things where it like all the 5 spots in Edania, they're all tower spots. They feel the same. It feels kind of lazy in my opinion. You know, I like the back in the day grind spots where you have to go from pack A to B to C, and then it's just like feels engaging, and like you feel like you're actually playing your class. Now every castle spot is like a tower. You're just like, oh, kill a few weak mobs, a mini boss summons, kill the mini boss, get a minute of AFK loot, repeat, kill the things again. I don't know. I have a lot to say about all these spots, but at the end of the day, it's not the worst. It's just it feels kind of lazy in my opinion. So anyway, that has been all the spots I wanted to talk about. If I wanted to recap all of these spots once again, Nymphomare, Tenebrum, pretty solid. Orbita is, I don't know, it could be changed in a week or two. Zyphros is not a friendly one. In Ethereum Castle, just meet the requirements for this, do the weekly boss, go grind somewhere else. Land of the Morning Light, fortunate. Everything except regular Golden Pig Cave is good here. Ulakita, Tungrat is solid. Dark Seekers is also solid. These other two kind of fell off. Mountain of Eternal Winter, Jade Starlight Forest is fine. Odalita. Actually, all of the spots in Odalita, like, they did a very good job with this region. All the spots are actually relevant. I would say the only thing that isn't really is the regular Tankuda and regular Thornwood, but, like, everything else is good. Dregan. Bloodwolf is good, as I mentioned, new players. Shuriken Daytime is good. Dashira sucks, and I hate it so much and never want to be there again. Kama Sylvia, Polly's Forest is good. Renaros, decent. Gyfin, Ash Forest, all good. Valencia, the Decias are good. Everything else, not even worth it. Medaya has Kratuga. I think that's it. Not gonna lie. They have Soldier Cemetery as a good alternative for very, very new players. Calpheon, the Elvia spots, and Dekia are good. Yeah, that's about it. Serendia, Orc Camp, good. Actually, I think all of them are pretty solid. Like, if you wanted to grind somewhere, I'd probably recommend Bloody, Monastery, or Orc Camp, but like all of these are pretty decent, but you have to kind of commit to making the cup and then selling it. So that's where the silver comes in. Balanos, Underwater Sakraya is good. Prodi is okay, but like it's hard to recommend that to new players because Prodi is out in the middle of the ocean, and you think new players have a boat? Nope. So if you can get there, it's good. If you can't, grind somewhere else. Anyway, that has been a 45-minute video, locked in. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to point you guys in the right direction. Once again, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe. And you can join the Discord if you have gear questions or just need help with anything else. Happy to point you in the right direction. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.